Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backlot Banter. I am your host, Tanner Dykstra, and I am joined here by Mr. Tucker Hazel. And today we are discussing a piece of content which has been long awaited. It's been you clicked on the video. You probably watched it. We're doing spoilers. We're doing a spoiler discussion of episode 1 and 2 of WandaVision, the new Disney Plus Marvel series. Boy,
Sure.
howdy, has it been a long time since we've had something new and marvelous to talk about.
God damn it. I didn't know you were gonna make that pun.
Yes.
But to be honest, no, I mean it's really been a long time. People were gearing up after Endgame and I guess Far From Home saying, oh hey look, the Marvel what's the word? Fatigue. The Marvel
Yes.
fatigue is gonna set in really soon. Look how many projects they're announced for phase four. And then something called coronavirus happened
Oh,
and
interesting.
we haven't gotten any content for almost a year and yeah, a year and a half, something like that. It's been
Yeah,
a long time. I
since
mean, I've known you
July.
for a while, and you and
Yeah,
I have never been able to watch
yeah,
new Marvel content together until yesterday.
yeah. Since July 2019, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good lord. So, WandaVision, the first Disney Plus show. So we're coming at this from all sorts of different angles. I mean,
yeah.
this is an important landmark moment in the Marvel Cinematic
This
Universe.
is well, technically. Listen, I don't like that Marvel does like they do their big Avengers level film as like in like Phase 3, and then
Hmm.
like Far From Home was the first movie of Phase 4. They did
Is
the
that
same
true?
thing. Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
They did the same thing with like phase 2 to 3. Ant-Man is the first movie of Phase 3.
Yeah,
It's very strange, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say although maybe not technically, this is the beginning of Phase 4.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's reasonable. I mean,
yeah,
it's a fresh start for the characters. It's a fresh start for a format. I mean, this is our first Disney Plus show
yeah.
for the MCU.
True.
Um, so this is a show that I've been excited for a long time. I think this is outside of Miss Marvel and maybe Hawkeye. This was probably the show that I was looking forward to the most, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it's first because Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I've seen the trailer. I'm fine with those characters, but it doesn't interest me as much because I think there's just so much potential in this show, and I think
Mhm.
that's kind of going to be the mantra of this first discussion is that WandaVision is a show that has so much potential and its intrigue has grabbed us so
Yes.
much we can't wait to see more.
There's a lot of kinetic energy building up in this show in these first 2 episodes. And as such, there isn't a whole lot to discuss about them quality
Yeah.
wise and content wise. Um, the first episode, as we kind of knew going in, as we had seen from the trailers, it seems that each episode is going to be taking a look at sort of a different decade of sitcom, American
Yeah.
television sitcom. So we started out with the 1950s with like a I Love Lucy esque show.
Sure.
The husband goes to work and the wife stays at home. 1950s, great social standards that we
Of
had.
course. Yeah. 100% no. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I really like that. I can't say I've ever seen an episode of a 1950s sitcom before. I mean,
I think.
I could think of it in my head, but it's
Yeah,
not something I personally have experience with. Like I didn't grow up with any of those shows. But seeing the ways that they were able to recreate that, I was listening to a few other discussions, and one of the things that I didn't notice because I'm not familiar with it
yeah,
is the way that they changed the cinematography style
yeah,
to match the three camera setup of an old style sitcom. So most of it is taking place in wide shots and it's just from a couple
yeah,
different angles around the set. But when they're going for more dramatic, sort of
yeah. In that
quote unquote
moment,
fourth wall breaking moments
yes.
of tension, of emotion, they go in for close ups to do a little more modern cinematography styles. And that blend contributes a lot to the tone. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely you definitely got sucked out of in a good way, sucked out of that sort of sitcom-y filming style when like Mr. Hart, his boss, was like choking. It sort of like
Yeah,
did a slow
exactly.
zoom in as like the people were glitching in that scenario. It was very
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, I should also point out, comedy has progressed a lot since the 1950s, but for some reason, it was just really fun to see like Wanda and Vision doing like 1950s slapstick, like weird, like wisecracky jokes. It was very
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, I think really it's because we're so used to the Marvel comedy style.
Yeah,
I mean, there are only a handful of them that really take any different style for the comedy. I
yeah,
would say the editing style of the Ant-Man films gives them their own feel.
yeah,
James Gunn writes his comedy a little bit different in the Guardians movies, but
yeah,
on the whole, the Marvel style of comedy has been done to death, and it's
yeah,
something I still enjoy. but getting something that is clearly different style wise and pacing,
Yeah.
I think it worked really well. And the cool part is we're not going to get tired of that. It's not going to stick around for too long because it's already gone. I mean,
Yeah,
essentially,
exactly.
they moved on in the second episode to
I
something
mean,
a little
I,
more modern by 10 years, but
yeah, it's a bit more. It's a bit more. Yeah, we brought up like the social standard in the 1950s. They progressed slightly in the 1960s. It's still not great, but like the comedy even progressed a little bit, and I think that's a testament to how well they sort of encapsulated at least our ideas of what sitcoms of these eras were like. You know, the
yeah.
1950s and the 1960s. The second one, they did a literal parody of the Bewitched opening with the little
Mhm.
animated characters, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to recognize that because I honestly can't say I've ever heard of Bewitched,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's just my own personal experience. But doing a little digging around on the internet afterward for people who were paying attention a little better than me,
Yeah.
those animated intros are fucking chock full of Easter eggs.
Yeah,
There
I
is
saw that. Yeah.
there is a Grim Reaper reference. There's a Wonder Man reference. There's a Wizard reference.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of stuff throughout these, and it's getting me interested in the fact that we don't know what really is going to happen here. We don't
Yeah.
really know which characters are going to show up, or what plot lines they're going to pull in, or who's doing what, or who the villain is, or what's going to happen in this
Yeah.
scenario, where it even take place in the timeline. There's
It's
so many
great.
questions here that are
Yeah.
set up, and they're only teased in these first two
Yeah.
episodes.
Before we get into some of those teases, you have read the Tom King Vision run, correct?
Yeah.
Did you notice anything specifically in this that was reminiscent of that that you want to
Well,
point out?
what I've realized is that the concept of them living in sort of small town America
Hmm.
is really the only thing it takes from that run.
I see.
Because other than that, the Tom King Vision run is so based around Vision's family and the new dynamics that them all being androids has, and introducing those, excuse me, those characters, because Viv and Vin and Sparky and his wife Virginia are all new
Mm.
characters in that series, and spoilers for that series, but most of them die,
Oh shit.
so they're not even around anymore after that.
Hmm.
But this is it's entirely its own thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually pretty cool. While I love that series a lot, I think that so much of its charm is based around the fact of the Vision family completely. So
Hmm.
having this new dynamic between uh, Scarlet Witch and Vision, I mean, I think it
Yeah.
worked well.
Yes. So yeah, you wanted to talk about sort of the hints that we get towards the larger scheme of things happening outside of the WandaVision sort of. We don't even know if it's like an illusion that she makes. The voice on the radio suggests that someone is doing this to her. Uh,
Yeah, there's so many layers here that are weird. My plant light just turned off.
yeah.
But so clearly she has some degree of control because
Yes.
and okay, so just to put it out there for those of you watching, we're going to be doing these week by week as the episodes
Yes.
come out, and I would say, well, we're going to give our sort of higher level thoughts on the style and the comedy and that sort of stuff. I'd say the most of this episode is going to be, or this video is going to be us discussing the new teases that we've gotten, what we think is going to happen in the future with the information that we have, that kind of stuff. So you're saying we don't really know what's happening. There's a lot of information that they're feeding us that might be conflicting. Like
Yeah.
you said, the voice on the radio says that, or is asking who's doing this to you, Wanda.
Hmm.
And as far as I know, that's Jimmy Woo from the
Okay.
Ant-Man
Sure.
movies asking.
Yeah.
And we also see that they are watching a version of the show, so it's like a show projected
Yes.
possibly from her
I think.
mind, but
Yeah.
also she
Mhm.
has some degree of control over it because at the end of the second episode, she rewinds
Yes.
time.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
rewinds time and sort of applies a color filter to the
exactly.
entire
Yeah.
set. So it's very interesting. And yeah, we brought up earlier, even while we were, I think after we were done with the second episode, that they're tackling sort of a different decade of television sitcom in each
Mhm.
episode, but that's really only going to apply to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe 90s,
Mhm.
because American sitcoms really weren't really huge in the 2000s and the 2010s.
Yeah.
At the very least, they wouldn't parody that. So that still leaves 4 episodes of tomfoolery to go through.
Mhm.
If you don't mind my language, excuse me.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, I and as someone who's not really familiar with sitcoms, it's going to be fun going through it. I probably won't get the references, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see the style change. And one thing I have to applaud is both Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen's acting. I mean,
Yeah.
they are hamming it up to the nth
Oh
degree,
yes,
and
they're having a great time.
it's
Yeah.
completely antithetical to what we've seen from those characters in Age of Ultron, which they're kind of wooden and not very interesting.
Yeah.
Where they start developing their own personalities in Civil War and Infinity War, and I mean that's essentially it. Those characters have not gotten a lot of development. It's really just been teases. So seeing them interact, and not only that, interact in different styles of comedy and even social norms to a degree, it's really fun.
Yes.
Um,
I wanted to shout out something we didn't bring up in sort of like the larger plot outside of this hints towards that. We see the sword logo twice, once on
sure,
like the
yeah.
toy helicopter, that
Mhm.
which and once on the beekeeper that comes out of the sewer, which was a very strange, just like I wonder do they have to go down in the sewers? Is there a reason that he's a beekeeper? All very interesting stuff.
So the beekeeper thing is interesting.
Hmm.
I'm inclined to believe that it's AIM in some fashion
Oh,
because
okay.
the classic AIM goon is a guy in a yellow beekeeper suit. They
Yeah.
call him beekeeper. They're not actually beekeepers, but they call them the beekeepers as like a colloquial term.
Oh,
And
interesting.
not
Okay.
only that, you get there's a lot of hexagon imagery throughout the
Oh yeah,
show,
true.
which
Very
is
true.
an AIM, bee whatever imagery. So if that means that AIM is working with Shield, if there's could be Hydra involved.
Yeah.
One thing I think is pretty cool is those intercut advertisements, fake advertisements,
Yeah,
people
well,
will
the
advertise.
first one we get are a Stark brand toaster, which
Yep.
what the first thing that gave it away was that it has the sounds of like the Iron Man repulsor rays,
Yes.
and when it starts up, and then the second
Mm,
was a Strucker brand watch with a Hydra logo on it
yeah.
as well.
So the interesting thing is both of those are reflexive of traumatic events in Wanda Maximoff's life.
True, that's very true.
Both the Stark bomb that killed her family in Sokovia and
Hmm.
Baron von Strucker, who
Yeah,
probably tortured and caused
yeah,
experiments on her and her brother.
yes. Speaking of her brother, Tucker, you privately told me that you will eat your own shorts if
Yeah.
Pietro Maximoff Quicksilver does not show up in this series in some
I
capacity.
mean, he has to, and I want to put that out there, but I mean that in even the smallest way,
Yeah.
a cameo, as long as it's something with new dialogue from that actor, or like a new moment from that actor that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Um, because we could get it in just a flashback, or like just hearing his voice, or maybe
Hmm.
he's like a mirage or something. There's a lot of ways it could happen, but I can't see a way that they go through the trauma of her life
Yeah.
without
Talking
bringing in
about
that
Quicksilver.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's. I forget if he was confirmed for the cast list or not. But going through the cast, obviously we brought up Jimmy Woo is in
Yes.
some capacity talking to Wanda through the radio in the second episode.
If that's him, yeah.
Yeah, we've yet to see Darcy Lewis. She's
True.
confirmed for the show.
Yeah.
We in the second episode we got introduced to Teyana Paris, who is playing Monica Rambeau or
Yep.
Photon, the daughter of what was the character's name from Captain Marvel? Something other Rambeau. Her
Yeah.
mom.
Well, but she's the main one, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. We got introduced to her as like she was just sort of just a side character in the second episode.
But
Uh,
presumably she'll become
yes,
significantly more plot significant, because I think that because we know that she's going to be a superhero, she has powers, she's going to be a little bit larger involved in the plot. I think that she is being sent in there to monitor
oh,
Wanda.
okay. Sure.
That sent in
She did seem more like personable with Wanda in the
Yeah,
show, so yes.
she's more active in interacting with her. She has a couple moments of like clarity where she's
Yeah,
like, "What's going on? Who are you guys?" Like, what she like realizes that stuff is going on. And of course,
right.
if she's from the outside and she's sent in, she knows that it's Scarlet Witch and Vision, the Avengers
Yes.
people from the Avengers movies. But but I'm excited to see that character play out a little more, because I think that Photon, Captain Marvel, she has so many fucking names from comics.
Yeah.
I really hope they go with Photon or Spectrum. Those are both
Hmm.
good names.
Hmm.
Um, I like that character, and I think that if she ends up playing a significant enough role in this, she could become a really solid supporting character
Yeah.
for other films. We know that she's going to be showing up in Captain Marvel 2, so she has a little bit of leeway into future projects in that regard.
Yeah.
But we also have Agnes.
Yes. I wanted to talk
Who's the
about her.
actress for that?
Catherine Hahn,
Yes,
famous
yes.
character actor Catherine Hahn. I've seen some predictions that she is some sort of a villain in the show. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, so the current rumor, fan theory, whatever, is that
Yeah.
the character Agnes is based off of Agatha Harkness, who is an
Okay.
actual witch in the Marvel
Oh,
universe, like fucking cauldrons and bubble and boil and all that shit,
sure.
who helped Scarlet Witch to learn how to use her hex powers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And there's a whole lore in with just Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, to be honest. Like there's characters that surround him. The Wizard, who I mentioned earlier, has an Easter egg in it. He's a speedster who
Who is the wizard?
he's just a guy who runs fast.
Yeah,
He's a
but I meant
superhero.
in the show.
No, there's an Easter egg of his costume in one of the animated
Oh,
openings.
I see. Okay.
So which, could just be a fun nod.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I mean, everything kind of means something in these movies and
Yeah.
shows.
I would tend to think so.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to bring up because it was sort of like a big reveal at the end of the second episode was that Wanda is pregnant.
Yes.
In the trailers we see that she has twins, and that
Yes.
is
Well, based on the
conducive with
comics.
conducive with the comics. You certainly know more about that than I do. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, I'm sure this is going to be something I get in a little more into once the children are more of an
Born,
active
yeah,
part of the show.
yeah.
So I'll save it for that. But I think that the cool thing about this, and something that you might not even notice, is I think this is all based around her wanting a family. She's presumably projecting Vision, like he's not alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So she's completely creating him in her
Yes.
mind. So she has to be creating more of the scenario around it. And I think that a lot of the small dialogue choices are actually reflective of that.
Hmm.
There is the chant in the second episode where they're doing a fundraiser for the local elementary school, and
Oh, for
everyone's
the
saying
children. Yeah.
it's for the children. And I think that knowing some of the comic stuff of the reason why her kids exist and all that,
Hmm.
and House of M and all of these storylines that are based around Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
I think that this entire thing is leading to the children being born, possibly being developed a little more. I assume that they'll just be babies in this, and we'll see
Mm.
them as full-fledged heroes, unless we get some teases of that but
If we
later
get
on.
like a Young Avengers thing
Oh
announcement of
yeah,
some sort in the near future, I would be elated.
I mean they have to be. Oh god,
Yeah.
I'm getting the goosebumps. They're
Yeah.
coming,
I
and
mean, we got Kate
I love
Bishop. We
thinking
got
about this.
we got Kate Bishop coming up in the Hawkeye
Oh
show.
god,
Uh,
I think
they
about this so much.
they recasted Cassie Lang for Ant-Man 3.
They did
Yeah, they recasted her.
from the girl who played her in Endgame.
Yes.
Oh,
There's been three actresses. There will be three actresses who have portrayed Cassie Lang.
very interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
well, regardless, yes, that's a topic for another time,
Yeah,
because
of
I have a
course.
lot to say about that.
Okay.
But I really do think that the kids are the core aspect of this.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of things that they could pull in from other storylines, or like how this is going to affect the larger Marvel universe. But that's where I can only draw the line at the moment with the
Yeah.
information that we've been given from the show. So it's lots of fun Easter eggs. I'm really enjoying the different styles, but it's really those teases of what could
Yes.
happen in the next.
It, the content, the majority of the content in the first two episodes was fun. It was cute. It was fun to see the 1950s and 1960s sitcom aesthetic, but with
Yeah.
Wanda Maximoff and Vision from the MCU films. But it is too early to sort of parse through the teases that we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other teases that we missed. Really Easter eggs.
I don't know. I mean, the next episode comes out on Friday. Oh, I think we've also talked about this in the comments if you can to fact check us. But I think if everything goes according to plan, there will be a new Marvel something coming out every week until the end of the year. So
Good fucking gravy.
hopefully we can be here every week. If that's true, we'll be here every week to break down whatever came out.
Mm-hmm. To break down what's up.
To break down what's up, and we'll have to come up with a clever name for this show since it's going to be a long-running thing.
Yeah, and we'll probably retroactively title the first episode.
Maybe
And-
if you're watching this in the future, we already came up with a fantastic, hilarious
Oh, yeah, it's great.
name. We're
Isn't it a fantastic name? Look right there.
We're losing so many clicks because people can't stop laughing at how clever the name was. They can't stop. They can't. They're laughing uncontrollably, and they can't click on the video.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I think we've done our bit on these first 2 episodes. Yeah. And this is gonna be probably the longest episode that we do, sort of introducing our thoughts and the fact that this is new content and stuff.
Yeah.
The other episodes are going to be a lot shorter. Us just discussing that specific episode, and giving our
we also did have twice the content in this one.
Yeah.
So all right, thanks for watching, everyone.
I don't like your lips.
My lips.
Fuck your lips.
My butthole lips.
I don't think your butthole has lips.
Why does it whistle?
Great question.